All right, everybody, I'm back with a brand new movie review. I just got done watching Rebel Moon, the director's cut, part 1, which is called Chalice of Blood. And it was a 3-hour and I think 45-minute film. And so I had a lot of work I had to do today, and I watched part of it this morning, had to do my work, and then I went back to it, and I had just started part 2, which I will have a review on tomorrow, because as soon as I'm done, I'm going to go watch some more, but I doubt I will have a chance to finish it today, because I have some more stuff I have to deal with later. But my review for part 2 will be up tomorrow. So the first question people are going to ask is this better than the regular cut that was released on Netflix? Yes, it is, by far. Now, I will talk about one aspect I didn't like. But before I even get into the review, I have to say Netflix is not doing a good job of promoting their stuff. And I don't know if there's anything to read into that. I hope they're not trying to give the shaft to Snyder like they did. You know, they've got a new head down there since the guy who had originally greenlit these. And, you know, for people, a lot of haters are going to come out and say the first 2 films didn't stream well. And yes, they did. Okay, it is a fact that Netflix works on an algorithm. X amount of dollars that they spend on a film has to have X amount of views for it to be a success. The first film alone made back all the views it needed for the $180 million budget for all 4 films, and then some. So any views that part 2 got, any views that the extended cuts get is all gravy for Netflix. So anybody who says they weren't successful has no idea what they are talking about. Flat out, they don't know what they're talking about, okay? It's funny that the anti-Snyder people out there have these ways of trying to twist numbers and try to create a narrative that doesn't exist is not true. So let's talk about Rebel Moon. First of all, the movie starts out with a 20-minute opening that we didn't get in the original that tells a lot more about Noble himself and brings in an interesting character, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but gives a much bigger background to one of the characters. Also, we get a lot more of Jimmy. I wanted to say Johnny. Number 5 is alive. Anybody who gets that reference, kudos to you. But I don't know why I was thinking Johnny, but it is Jimmy, okay? And we get a lot more Jimmy in this. He is the Batman of this universe. Batman's my favorite character, and he is the Batman of this universe. Without question, he does some pretty cool things in part 1, and it's interesting to watch his journey. It was a lot better than, we get a lot more of him compared to, we had a little bit of him at the beginning of the regular cut, and then we had him come back at the end with the deer horns, and you're thinking, what the heck is going on? Well, they explain what's going on in this, and they actually have him doing stuff, which is really cool. We get a much bigger backstory to Belisarius, to all of it. We find out more about the king. We find out more about the history of Cora herself. And so this really fleshes out this universe. And it didn't feel rushed. Now, one thing I will tell you is that I'm one of those that did appreciate the original, just as it was. I really enjoyed that movie a lot. I did. And I still appreciate it. I think seeing the extended version and then seeing, thinking back to the original version, I can appreciate how nice and tight that film is to even be able to tell a cohesive story. But this one takes it to a whole new level. That doesn't mean I liked everything that they added into the film. What I did not enjoy is there is some gratuitous nudity at the beginning of the film. And I'm just forewarning people, there is full frontal nudity for one of the females, and just nudity in general that I didn't think served the story in any way. It was completely unnecessary. There is also a love scene in there that I thought was also gratuitous. They could have definitely done that without having to make it as hardcore as they did. But they did it to show some scars on one of the individuals in that scene. And you'll know what I'm talking about. Like I said, I'm trying to do this without spoiling anything for anybody. But that, most of the nudity, well, pretty much all of it except for that love scene, takes place in that first 20 minutes. And the purpose behind it is to show how horrible Noble is. You also definitely, one of the rumors that a lot of people had, or there was a rumor going around about those Noble people that carried the boxes with them, and you definitely find out what those boxes are for, and I'm not going to say whether the rumors were right or wrong, but you get a definitive answer to what those boxes are and the purpose behind them. And so I can appreciate what they did with Noble. He definitely seems a lot scarier. And everything seems way more fleshed out. We're not being rushed into the story. We're not being rushed from here to there, getting the people and getting back, because it is 3 hours and 40-some-odd minutes, and it fleshes it all out. I do appreciate the originals, though. I think if I was in a pinch, I might want to watch the original over the extended version, simply because of how tight and nicely the pacing is. This one is a lot slower. It does flesh everything out. And if I've got a weekend where I got nothing to do, I'm going to watch these 8 hours worth of films. But I can really appreciate what he did and how he cut together the first two. I really can. This one is way more fleshed out. You also find out exactly how Noble is able to survive and how he's able to come back, which was actually quite surprising. They don't even hint at it in the original, but they flesh it all out in this one. And actually going into the second film, there's way more stuff that is fleshed out, but I'll be talking about that on my review for part 2 when I get around to finishing it, probably sometime tomorrow. I'm going to watch as much as I can until my family gets home, and then I'm not going to be able to finish the rest of it for the day, so I'll probably have to finish it in the morning. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this and seeing how it all plays out, because it's a much richer story. It's a much richer world. We get to see a lot more as to what's going on. And so if you are a fan or even on the fence, yeah, this is the version to watch. If you're not worried about the gratuitous nudity, that's fine. It does have a ton of violence in it. It's way more graphic, and that I was expecting, because that's the world that they had portrayed in the first one, just minus the blood and the gore. And so this one has a lot more of those things that you would have expected and would have been appropriate for the first one. But I can really appreciate how, like I said, I'm amazed at how they were able to make that movie as cohesive as it was, by cutting out so much of the story and still make it flow and understandable. But this is a much richer story. If you sit down to watch it, you're going to enjoy it. It's got a lot more to it, and it does fill in a lot of the blanks. This is very much the same situation as Batman vs. Superman, except for with Batman vs. Superman, the theatrical version was borderline incoherent and really needed that 30 minutes in it. It still boggles my mind to this day that Warner Brothers made him cut out that 30 minutes to sell more tickets. And even with them cutting all that out, that movie, even to today's money, would have made over $1 billion, even though it tanked in its second weekend. It's crazy that movie, butchered the way it was, still almost made $1 billion. Well, would have made over $1 billion. And it's the testament to those two characters, Batman and Superman, and also having Wonder Woman in the mix. Luckily, this is not butchered to that degree. The original wasn't, but there is a much richer story to be told. So if you take the time to watch it or you're interested, I would definitely say watch that second version. So let's give you my score on this. On a score of 5 stars, I give this one 4.5. I would have liked to have given it more, but because of the nudity that I thought was completely unnecessary, I am knocking it down. And hey, I'm a guy. I like females, but when I'm consuming my content, that's not what I'm looking for in my content, unless it serves a story to a large degree. The love scene that was in there, yes, I agree that did need to be in there, and there's even more in the second one that I agree was in there. They definitely show a difference between the two scenes, and it serves a purpose story-wise, but still a little gratuitous. So just be aware of that going in. This is not a movie for kids, but I think you're going to enjoy it. If you're a Rebel Moon fan, you will like this movie. All right, guys, I appreciate all the support. We'll see you on the next review.